The promise of the Blue site was a new era of creator independence, but a series of explosive lawsuits filed throughout 2024 and 2025 suggest that the old industry's most predatory tactics have simply moved behind a digital curtain. At the center of this storm is Unruly Agency, once hailed as an influencer powerhouse, and its high-profile partner, Tana Mongeau, whose Tana's Angels agency was marketed as a way to give power back to creators. However, per legal filings in California and Florida, the reality was allegedly a system of virtual pimping. The common belief was that these agencies were simply high-end marketing firms helping influencers scale their business. But the contrarian reality, backed by 9 concurrent lawsuits and internal leaks, suggests a systematic exploitation where creators allegedly lost control of their bodies, their content, and their bank accounts. This isn't just a dispute over commissions, it's a federal-level reckoning for an industry that allowed third-party middlemen to operate with zero oversight. Today, we are following the legal receipts and leaked DMs to answer 3 critical questions. How did Tana's Angels allegedly turn into a trap for aspiring models? Why are former staffers now testifying that their jobs required them to dupe and mislead fans? And most importantly, what happens when the digital agency you trusted with your nudes begins to use them as leverage against you? Per the legal complaint filed in March 2024 and expanded in early 2025, the tactics used by Unruly Agency were allegedly designed to strip creators of their autonomy from the very moment they signed the contract. One of the most damning allegations involves the non-consensual posting of explicit content. According to a lawsuit detailed by Rolling Stone, multiple influencers claimed that Unruly employees would upload and sell their most private images without their permission, often ignoring direct requests to keep certain content off the platform. This brings us to our first major revelation: the quota culture. Internal documents leaked in 2024 suggest that account managers were allegedly pressured to hit daily revenue targets, leading them to mine a creator's vault for any content that would sell, regardless of the creator's comfort level. Per a lawsuit filed by a former model under the pseudonym Jane Doe on June 12, 2024, when she complained about the unauthorized posts, she was allegedly threatened with career-ending lawsuits and told she would be sued for millions if she tried to break her contract. This created a climate of fear, where creators felt they had to choose between their dignity and their financial survival. The pressure to perform was not just emotional, it was baked into the software the agency used to track every click and every dollar, turning human beings into lines on a spreadsheet. While the unauthorized content is a violation of personhood, the most shocking point of this entire scandal involves the whale hunting scripts used to manipulate subscribers. Around the 3-minute mark of this timeline, we look at the testimony of former Unruly staffers who have come forward in 2025. Per an explosive report by Business Insider, these chatters were allegedly trained to identify high-spending fans, referred to internally as whales, and use psychological manipulation to extract maximum payments. These scripts didn't just feign romantic interest, they allegedly targeted fans' personal traumas and secrets. According to a 2021 staffer lawsuit that paved the way for the current 2025 class action, chatters were told to intentionally lie to, dupe, and mislead fans into believing they were in a genuine relationship with the model. One former employee claimed they were coached to ask fans for their deepest and innermost personal secrets, specifically to use them as leverage for future sales. This is the virtual pimping reality, a room full of low-paid workers in a different time zone using a model's face to emotionally blackmail fans into spending their life savings. The scripts allegedly included specific instructions on how to handle fans who mentioned financial hardship, telling chatters to ignore the fans' distress and push for the sale anyway. This level of cold, calculated extraction is what has led many to call for a total ban on third-party chatting services across the industry. This leads us to the second pillar of the scandal, Tana Mongeau's alleged involvement through Tana's Angels agency, or AA. When Tana launched TAA in 2021, she claimed it was a way for her to perfect her agency alongside Unruly and give power back to women. However, per a viral deep dive on the canceled podcast subreddit and subsequent legal inquiries in August 2024, TAA was allegedly little more than a white-label recruiting arm for Unruly. The receipts show that creators who signed with Tana were allegedly funneled directly into the same Unruly system that is now facing 9 separate lawsuits. According to a creator who spoke to the Daily Beast on condition of anonymity in early 2025, Tana's branding was used to build trust, but once the contract was signed, Tana was nowhere to be found. The creator alleged they were pressured by Unruly to meet VIP subscribers in person, a request that mirrors the traditional pimping model and created immediate safety concerns. Tana has survived many scandals, but the Tana's Angels era is proving to be her most legally precarious, as the line between marketing and exploitation becomes the central focus of these court cases. The legal team representing the victims has pointed out that using a celebrity's image to lure young, vulnerable women into restrictive contracts could be viewed as a form of predatory recruitment. The financial receipts further complicate the narrative and show the true scale of the alleged greed. According to the March 2024 filings, agencies like Unruly often take 50% or more of a creator's gross earnings. While this is marketed as a growth partnership, the lawsuits allege widespread wage theft. Per a filing in Florida on January 15, 2025, one influencer discovered that her agency was allegedly skimming an additional 10% off the top by misrepresenting platform fees. When she requested an audit of her account, she was allegedly locked out of her own OnlyFans account. This is a common thread in the 2025 legal wave, creators being held hostage by their own accounts. Because the agencies often control the email addresses and banking information tied to the profiles, a creator who wants to leave can find themselves legally and financially erased overnight. The lawsuit argues that this level of control over a person's digital identity and income constitutes a form of modern-day indentured servitude. The creators aren't just losing money, they're losing the ability to work independently in the future, as the agencies allegedly hold on to their verification data and historical content as if it were agency property. The complexity of these virtual pimping allegations reaches a boiling point when we look at the denial of service tactics used against those who speak out. According to a 2025 update in the modern-day Pimps case, Unruly has allegedly used its massive legal budget to silence former creators through aggressive non-disclosure agreements and strategic lawsuits against public participation. However, the sheer volume of plaintiffs has made it impossible to keep the story contained. Per a Rolling Stone investigation on April 10, 2025, the platform itself, OnlyFans, has been named as a passive participant in some of these filings. The argument is that by allowing agencies to manage accounts without verified disclosure of who is behind the keyboard, the platform created the perfect environment for this fraud to thrive. If OnlyFans is found liable for aiding and abetting these agency practices, it could lead to a site-wide ban on third-party management, a move that would collapse the business models of hundreds of agencies overnight. This would be a tectonic shift in the industry, potentially returning power to the individual, but also destroying the infrastructure that many top-tier models have come to rely on for their daily operations. Beyond the courtroom, the cultural fallout has been equally devastating. Many in the industry feel that Tana Mongeau's association with these practices has tarnished the concept of creator-led agencies. Per an editorial in the Daily Dot in late 2024, the Tana's Angels brand was built on the idea of sisterhood and protection, yet the lawsuits paint a picture of abandonment and corporate callousness. This betrayal of trust has made it harder for legitimate management firms to operate, as creators are now rightfully terrified of signing anything that hands over their login credentials. This psychological toll on the victims is a major focus of the 2025 litigation. investigation, several plaintiffs have reported suffering from severe anxiety and depression as a result of their interactions with agency chatters who they thought were their colleagues, but were actually low-paid workers instructed to treat them as content-producing machines. One plaintiff noted that the most painful part was realizing that her fans weren't even talking to her, and the relationships she thought she was building were actually being farmed out to strangers for a commission. As we move into the conclusion of this investigation, the fallout for the creators involved is just beginning. Many who signed with Unruly or TAA have reported significant mental health struggles. According to a 2025 interview with a former Angel, the experience of having her nudes posted without consent and her fans hunted by strangers left her with a form of digital trauma. She noted that while Tana Mongeau continues to tour and record her podcast, the women who trusted her brand are left picking up the pieces of their reputations.
The legal system is slow, but the 2025 trial dates are approaching, and for the first time, the gatekeepers of the spicy content world are being forced to answer for their methods. This isn't just about drama, it's about the legal definition of consent in a digital age where your body can be turned into a 24/7 automated storefront without your permission. The courts will now have to decide if a management contract can legally sign away a person's right to control their own digital likeness, or if these virtual pimping models are a violation of basic human rights and labor laws. The deeper we look, the more we see that this wasn't an accident. It was a business model. According to a leaked agency manual from 2024, the goal was always to decouple the creator from the content. If the agency owns the account, the email, and the relationship with the fan, the creator becomes a replaceable asset. This is the ultimate goal of the virtual pimp, to create a brand that doesn't need the actual human being to function. By automating intimacy and scaling deception, these agencies managed to generate millions, but they did so by hollowing out the very thing that made the platform successful in the first place: authenticity. The whale hunting scripts were just the beginning. The 2025 lawsuits are revealing that agencies were allegedly experimenting with AI clones of their models to handle even more messages simultaneously. If this had gone unchecked, the entire industry would have become a hall of mirrors where no one is who they say they are, and every interaction is a programmed sales pitch. The summary of the Unruly and TAA scandal is a warning to every aspiring creator. In the world of high-stakes management, the angels often have the sharpest claws. We have seen how virtual pimping allegations have redefined the relationship between models and their agencies, how whale hunting scripts have turned fans into targets for extraction, and how the branding of a celebrity was allegedly used to mask a system of systematic exploitation. The insider takeaway is that the most dangerous contract you can sign is the one that promises to make you a star by taking away your control. As the 2025 lawsuits progress, the industry is being forced to choose between the scale of agencies and the safety of its workers. The outcome of these cases will set the precedent for how digital intimacy is regulated for decades to come. If you want to see the leaked contracts that these agencies use to trap creators and the full breakdown of the whale hunting manuals that were used to dupe fans for millions, you need to watch the Velvet Rope Industry Secrets playlist next. This is where the real game is revealed, and once you see the mechanics, you can never look at a top 1% account the same way again. The curtain is being pulled back, and what's behind it is a machine that prioritizes profit over people every single time. Make sure you're informed before you sign your future away.